Hey, caregivers, welcome to a special bonus episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagine podcast. Today is a somber day for us, at least here in the US. Today actually is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11 when this episode is being recorded. And looking back on September 11th, 2001, I was just 16 years old and a sophomore in high school. I was still a kid. And that day is definitely etched in my memory, not because I necessarily lost someone that day, but because of the profound impact it had on my mental health. As a child, I had already been struggling with stress and anxiety, and 9/11 just intensified that. I actually ended up having to do some counseling and we go on a low dose of anxiety medication for a while just to be able to cope. And that was just hard because as a teenager, you're already trying to identify and figure out who you are as a person. And then on top of that, you have this life-changing event. It's where we went to war, and it was just such a big impact on me at the time. And fast forwarding to today, excuse me, I'm married, obviously, and I'm raising a daughter of my own. But the memories of that day still linger, especially when I think about the spouses and kids, being a mom and a wife now myself, about their pain, their unimaginable pain, excuse me, of losing their partners, losing a parent, the kids, and then kids losing their parents way too soon. And if there's anything that remains with me on a more positive and important note from that day and that experience, it's that you just need to tell your loved ones that you love them. It's so important that we tell our loved ones that we love them because we never know when it will be the last time. And, the parallel with being a caregiver to someone who is chronically ill with an incurable illness, we just never know. And maybe it's not even that they're necessarily sick now, but you never know. You never know when it's going to be the last time that you hug your babies or you see your spouse. So, or see your friends or your family. So, I know with being a caregiver, we often get caught up in the whirlwind of managing our loved ones' medications and dealing with insurance claims and trying to get things covered and stressing out about getting medications and doctor's appointments and procedures covered and scheduling doctor's appointments and scheduling procedures. There is so much, and it's so easy to feel overwhelmed. But amidst all that chaos that we go through as caregivers, I don't want you to forget to give your spouse that extra hug and kiss and tell them that you love them because you never know when it's going to be the last time that you get to tell your loved one, your spouse that, or hug them. Hug your babies tight, and soak up all the extra snuggles because they won't be little forever. I have a 5-year-old, and so she's growing up every day, every year, and I know she's not going to be little for long. And also with knowing that sentiment too, that tomorrow's not promised, I'm soaking up every minute I get to have my little girl around me. Also, just let other family and friends know how much they mean to you. Obviously, thinking about 9/11, yes, we immediately think about, immediate family losing family members, like spouses, kids, aunts, uncles, grandparents, nieces, and nephews. But friends lost dear friends that maybe were their lifeline to coping through a hard season they were going through at that time in the season of life they were dealing with. So trauma, be it from a life-changing national world size event like 9/11, or even with being a caregiver and going through that trauma, that stress, that traumatic experience and stressful experience matters. And it's so important that you don't take any moment for granted, even though it's hard, even though it's stressful, and even though it's overwhelming. That's, your relationship with your loved ones is what matters at the center of it. And and just soaking up the moments with your loved ones, but each day, because again, it's never promised. And when you're feeling overwhelmed by everything, like I said, that the long list, I only shared a snippet, but the whole gamut, the whole list of things that you have to do, that you're responsible for doing as a caregiver. I just want you to remember that I'm here for you. I want to help you. I am in your corner and I want to help you have less stress and more peace through your caregiving journey because it is scary and it is or I should say, it can feel isolating when you're home 24/7 with your loved one, and you name it, and maybe you don't have the benefit of having a lot of family that want to help, but they live out of state around help, or maybe you don't have a healthy relationship with your family, so there's been a fallout. So your support network has to come from other means, and I want to be that support means for you, okay? Because caregiving is something that is not meant to be faced alone. Just like entrepreneurship, caregiving is not meant to be handled or dealt with alone because it's too much. There's so much that goes into it. And it's not supposed to be a one-man sport. It's supposed to be a team effort. And I want to be part of your team. I want to help you. And as always, I just hope that you know that you can always reach out to me via email or the comment section on social media or my blog or the podcast here. I want to help you and I want to be in your corner. And I want to remind you and encourage you that every experience that you've gone through, be it the trauma, the impacts that we all have had in our own ways with 9/11, or even just in our caregiving journey with seeing our aging grandparent, parent, spouse, kid, or maybe it's ourselves, maybe we're the ones who's sick, that those experiences and your overall story matter. Okay. It deserves validation. It deserves to be heard. It deserves to be shared for not just to share it because it can be powerful, but also more important to someone else, and maybe help someone else. But more importantly, it's important for you to share it for your own self, for your own true identity, to acknowledge what you've been through and to just feel validated, to feel seen. I don't want you feeling like you have to hide behind a rock or a tree. You are allowed to share what you've been through and even have those moments of saying, I'm not okay, or this is too much. Help. I need help. That is what I want to be for you as your coach. So, as always, thanks again for tuning in to an episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagine podcast. And for those of you listening, if you did lose someone on 9/11, please know that you're in my thoughts and prayers today and every day because I know life has never been the same since and never will be. But I hope that you know that you're not forgotten. One last little thing I'll share is that around the month of September, especially around 9/11, there's obviously lots of maybe not news coverage, but there's some stations on television that um, broadcast documentaries or past documentaries about 9/11. And I personally like the ones where I'm hearing about the stories of what people went through, about losing loved ones. And it's not to be depressed. I just think, in my own way, just listening to those stories is my way of validating that these people and acknowledging that those people, they existed. They were moms, they were dads, they had careers, they had children, they had nieces and nephews, they had passions and hobbies. They were people. So I hope that you know, if anyone's listening and your story's maybe been talked about, or even if it hasn't, just know that I'm doing something in my own way to remember you and or to honor you and to remember your loved one, that their light mattered and will not be forgotten, and that you, as the loved one left behind, will not be forgotten either. All right, guys, I'll see you in another episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagine podcast. If you're enjoying these episodes, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And as always, if you do have um, questions or ideas of topics that you would like me to cover in the caregiving and entrepreneurship or self-care realm, I would love to address those. So reach out. All right, guys, take care.